I went through more investigations than Alphonse Capone, and now I'm talking to you as president. Can you believe this?
Can you believe it? Indeed. Good morning. It's Kelly Nash. Hope you had a great long weekend. Got a short work week coming up. And if you follow me on social media, I certainly appreciate that. If you would like to check me out on social media, at Kelly Nash Radio is the handle for social media. I put out a video that I found it interesting because I know none of you were watching MSNBC last week, but Alex Thompson and Jake Tapper were out there peddling their book, talking about the cover-up of who was running the country, that Joe Biden was so incompetent. And Morning Joe asked them who was actually then in charge.
The people that were in charge were Mike Donilon, Steve Ricchetti, Bruce Reed, Anthony Bernal, the First Lady's chief of staff, the First Lady, and Annie Tomasini.
All right. In the next 5 minutes, I'm going to make my case as to who was really running the country. It's not those people. The book says that the Democrats referred to that group of individuals as the Politburo. Now, perhaps they're like James Comey. They don't understand what the word actually means. 86, is that a year? No. He knew what 8647 meant, and those people knew what Politburo means. Now, if for those of you who are not familiar with it, 1917, that word was invented by a guy you've probably heard of as Lenin, not John, Vlad. Vladimir Lenin invented that word, and he used it to describe the 7 individuals inside the Communist Party who really ran the Communist Party and who ran Russia. Inside that group, there's some names that you might know, like Leon Trotsky. How about Joseph Stalin? You've heard of that guy, right? So this is a very powerful group of people who were running communist Russia. That group of individuals that he just mentioned, they're pretty powerful. They are. But they weren't running the country because he named 6 names. There's a 7th person. I'm going to make the case that 7th person, well, first off, let's just tell you who these people are. Mike Donilon served as the senior advisor to Obama's 2008-2012 presidential campaigns, also worked in the Obama White House. Steve Ricchetti, Obama's deputy chief of staff. Bruce Reed, chief of staff for Vice President Joe Biden during the Obama administration, also executive director of the Obama 2010 National Commission on Fiscal Responsibility. The common thread here is Barack Obama. Now, Barack Obama, could he possibly have pulled off what he had fantasized about? He publicly had wet dreams about this.
I love my work, but under our Constitution, I cannot run again. So there's a lot that I'd like to do to keep America moving, but the law is the law.
If I could make an arrangement where I had a stand-in, a front man or front woman, and they had an earpiece in, and I was just in my basement in my sweats, then I could sort of deliver the lines, but somebody else was doing all the talking and ceremony. I'd be fine with that.
Oh, he would have been fine with that. Well, you couldn't find a bigger puppet than Joe Biden to just try to, again, not even eloquently deliver the lines, but just do what I want you to do. Sign the executive orders I want you to sign. Pardon the people I want you to pardon. Now, here's a question for you. Oh, by the way, Barack Obama, first president since Woodrow Wilson to take up residence in Washington, D.C. after they leave office. Woodrow Wilson, some say, was the guy who led America into this liberal state for the first time, paved the way for an FDR, wanted to be a power broker the rest of his life. Thankfully, well, I'm not going to get into Woodrow Wilson's post-White House activities. There's books on that. You can read all about it. Barack Obama, the first guy since Woodrow Wilson to remain in Washington, D.C. After he left office. Bizarre choice, absolutely. Now, why is he there? What are these people doing for him? Well, before Obama became the president, he said in his final push for the presidency that we are just days away from fundamentally transforming the United States of America. That lets you in on his thought process. If you want to fundamentally transform the United States of America, you're not happy with the United States of America. You're not happy with the founding of the United States, and you're not happy with the way it's been run at that point, like 230 years or so. So he wanted to fundamentally transform it. He got some stuff done in his 2 terms, but not enough. If you look at what happened under the Biden administration, none of that, there's not one policy decision that you can say made Americans safer. You can't look at any of those decisions and say something about that unified us as a nation. They are trying to tear it down and then rebuild it into something else. Now, Barack Obama didn't want to have to use Joe Biden a second term. That's why Joe Biden ran. That's a campaign promise. I am going to be transformational. I am going to just get Trump out of the way, and then we'll have some younger person come in as the president. Nobody thought that Joe Biden was a great candidate, even in 2020. It was really more about Donald Trump and COVID and those problems. He was probably the weakest candidate we've ever had for president. So why would they have him break the campaign promise and run again? I'm going to make the case it's because Kamala Harris became a problem. Not just because she's a word salad gaffe machine. It's because Kamala Harris was going to try to do her own thing. She really believed her own press. She's a smart lady. She's like Fredo. I'm smart. I can do things. It's not like people say. No, it is like people say. You're not smart. You can't do things. So he did not want her trying to do her own thing. That is Joe Biden's ultimate Barack, when they forced him out. Within 30 minutes of him posting that he was not going to run for the presidency, he then endorsed Kamala Harris, which created a big problem. Go back and look at the reporting of the summer of 2024. So many insiders on the Democrat side talking about how he does not want Kamala Harris, and he's angry with Joe Biden for making that endorsement. Barack Obama was just looking for somebody to continue what he was doing, and he got screwed over by Joe Biden, which is kind of hysterical, actually. But that's my theory. I've given it to you in 7 minutes or less. I've outlined it. What do you think about it? Hit me up at Kelly Nash Radio.